Hello and welcome to another episode of the Femininja Project. And I am so excited about this episode and the guest that I have with me today. I've been waiting a long time to talk to him. His name is Joe Gianti. He is an engineer, a martial artist, passionate patriot, dog lover, and the founder and CEO of Canine Heroes for Heroes, a 501c3 nonprofit whose mission is to provide service dogs to veterans and first responders at no cost to the recipient. Not only does Canine Heroes for Heroes provide service dogs, they also provide the necessary training, equipment, gear, initial veterinary care, handler training, and follow-up maintenance training. Their tagline is healing is healing. Joe, thank you so much for being here
Oh,
and welcome to the show.
thank you for having me. It's a blessing anytime I'm able to share our mission and purpose with a wider audience than who normally gets to see us. So thank you for having us on. I feel truly blessed that I'm able to be in this position.
Well, I got to tell you, like I said, I've looked forward to this for so long because there's so many things in here that I love, veterans, martial
Yeah.
artists, dogs, patriotism. You've got it all. And you are so generous with the
Well,
services that you provide.
I mean, it's something that you and I talked about previously. The patriotism has been part of my family since the very beginning. So my great grandfather come over from Sicily and joined the American Army and went to France during World War One. Not even an American citizen. When he got out, then he filed for his petition to become a citizen. Uh, Uncles in World War II, combat veterans. My
Mm,
dad was in the Army. He was between Korea and Vietnam. So he actually, blessing, didn't have to go in either of those. But
wow.
that patriotism and love of country, a lot of the times you see a lot of the Italians come over and their generations can't speak Italian. It's because their families wanted them to be Americans. So they didn't
Hmm.
teach them Italian. It was, you're an American. I don't say I'm an Italian American. I'm an American. And it
Hmm.
means so much to us. I spent some time, well, backtrack a little bit. Growing up as a martial artist, my instructor was a police officer. So that was even in there as well. So now I've got the first responders
Hmm.
and what he's doing every day. Yeah, it was a small town, nothing like Cleveland or some of the other big towns, but that putting on the uniform, not knowing whether you're coming home at the end of the night, and then
Hmm.
instilling that into his students. And we all became like a family, with your
Hmm.
instructors. I'm sure it's a big family. So then I spent some time at the Virginia Military Institute out of high school, and a lot of the guys I went to VMI with ended up going in the service. A lot of them ended up in combat during the global war on terror.
Mm.
Some of them, and so that absolute love and admiration for anyone that has chosen to put on this country's uniform or their community's uniform, it just means so much to me. Life took me in a different direction. I'm not a veteran. I make that very clear because I don't ever want somebody accusing me of stolen valor, because that would be me disrespecting the people that have put on the uniform, and I'm never going to do that.
Hmm.
So fast forwarding to where we are now, how can I give back? I'm too old to serve in any capacity. I can't be a police officer. I can't be a first responder. How can I serve? So I got
Hmm.
my first shepherd, just a pet shepherd, and someone that my oldest son, who's an MMA fighter, was training with, was a veteran and a dog trainer. So we got to talking, and that just lit the fire.
Hmm.
Once I learned, hey, look what these dogs can do. And a little more forward to where I have Loki now, that most people see on the post, they'll see me and Loki out and about doing different things,
Hmm.
knowing what he does for me.
Hmm.
And I know you don't compare traumas or anything of that nature,
Hmm.
but what he does for me, I want that for others. He brings a calmness
Hmm.
that I really can't put into words. It's funny. He goes to church with me, walks up to communion with me. And at first people were like, turned a lot of heads, but now they're just so used to it.
Hmm.
There was a time my mind was wandering in church. We stand in the back because I don't want to cause any, I don't want people turning around looking at him. It's not about that. But
Hmm.
my mind was wandering somewhere where I didn't really want it to go. And he immediately knew, kind of stood up, nudged me back into the present, which is one of the functions they have.
Mhm.
A lot of times people don't quite realize it's not always an outward disability or need that you
Mm.
see. A lot of it's internal, the PTSD that these guys and gals have. Forgive me if I don't say guys
No.
and gals every time. I'm old school. Sometimes it's just lumps them all into one.
Hey, I'm a
But
baby boomer. It's okay.
our first recipient is a female Air Force veteran, which we can get
Oh.
into.
Mhm.
But they don't always see that inward need for these
Mhm.
dogs. Oh, you look fine. Well, there's nothing wrong with you. You don't need a service dog. It's just a lack of understanding. And one of the
Mhm.
things that Loki and I have been able to do is bring that awareness out and
Mhm.
explain what these dogs can do. A lot of times
Mhm.
people will see Loki at different events, and he does some things a normal service dog doesn't, some tricks and fancy stuff,
Mhm.
but that's just to draw attention so people come over and talk to us
Mhm.
and learn more about what these dogs can do. And yeah, jump in with any questions because I can
I
talk and
do. I mean,
talk.
because
Yeah.
the when you were talking about the invisible wounds, is the way,
Yeah.
I put it. And in a lot of ways, I think those are even more traumatic or more difficult because, like you said, you can't see it.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
it's like, well, you look perfectly fine. And even I was looking at one of your posts, it was either on LinkedIn or Facebook, it must have been LinkedIn. And it was a beautiful, story. There was
I know which
a
one you're referring
veteran.
to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was just so, it was so touching because the dog knows.
Yeah, that individual is he runs American Canine Dynamics.
Oh,
We
okay.
contract a lot of work through American Canine Dynamics with their full service kennels.
Hmm.
They have pet obedience all the way up to service dogs. They have some police dogs out in the field, but that was Travis Lloyd, their head trainer and founder of American Canine Dynamics.
Hmm.
He spent roughly 8 years in Afghanistan as a civilian contractor. So he was right beside the operators, building forward operating bases. And he credits his service dog with saving his life. And when he sent me, he said, Joe, use it for whatever you want. And it's probably gotten the most action, or I can't think of the right word, out of any post that I put in, but you're right. And if you don't know what you're looking for, you're like, what did the dog do?
Hmm.
The dog did, that's Cairo, is his dog.
Hmm.
And he named Cairo after the Navy SEAL dog that had been on the Bin Laden raid. But Cairo just nudged him back into the present. And that's sometimes all it takes. It's pressure therapy. It can be deep
Hmm.
pressure therapy or just that gentle nudge. But
Hmm.
all service dogs have to have a minimum of 3 tasks to be considered a service dog. And that's one of the tasks that we like to put on dogs.
But yeah, and if just again, I'm going back to the photo because if you just looked at the picture, this guy looks so healthy. He looks so, fit. He looks
Yep.
put together, and you would never know. And I
No,
think that that's part of that's even part of the cruelty of some of those hidden wounds is that,
definitely.
you almost get stigmatized. You don't have a prosthetic limb. You
Yeah.
should be very happy. that,
Well,
You
and
know,
that's one of the things we want to be as well, not just the service dogs, but a resource. So if you go to our webpage, there's a resource page down there with all different avenues you can click on to take you to maybe what you need.
mm-hmm,
And one of the things we talk about is we don't have to provide every single service dog, but
hmm.
we want you to have one. So I'm building a database
Hmm.
of other nonprofit service dog companies that if I get a call from somebody in Texas, I'm too small. I can't help them yet, but I
Hmm.
can refer them to somebody. So the
Hmm.
goal is getting qualified dogs out to deserving veterans and first responders. So it's a
Hmm.
pretty extensive application process. I don't want to
Hmm.
jump the gun. Um, we When I first started Canine Heroes for Heroes, the founder of Mutts with a Mission, another nonprofit service
Hmm.
dog company, reached out to me and says, "Hey, I'm going to send you our application. Why should you start over?" What a blessing that was. I mean, it was probably a 20-page document, and I just cut it down and made it fit us. And
Uh-huh.
with his permission, I've given it to other service dog companies. Say, here, use it. So the goal is to help each other. How can
Hmm.
we help each other in this space, knowing what these guys have gone through?
I absolutely love the fact that you're building this incredible network. It's almost like this branching out and how you're all communicating with each other. And I can just see this getting bigger and bigger and stronger and stronger. And it's so necessary that it makes me wonder, what did the veterans do before they had this
Yeah.
option?
Yeah, I don't know. Some of them still dealing with it. And one of the things, especially in men, is we don't talk. We don't
Hmm.
express our feelings. We don't say, "Hey, I need help."
Hmm.
And that's another thing that I like to tell the veterans, the first responders, civilians alike. I don't care. I can be that ear to listen to what you have to say.
Hmm.
Let me know if you want me to be an active participant in the conversation or just an ear to listen. But I think if we all do that, it's going to help tenfold, because
Hmm.
I think the biggest issue we have now, not only with the PTSD and the trauma that the veterans and first responders have gone through and continue to go through, it's just I think we've got a big mental health issue in America right now.
Yeah, we do. And it is a problem. And that's interesting you should mention that, because I actually had a long conversation yesterday with, so the previous episode, a psychiatrist who's kind of made a reputation for himself as being the doctor, talking about the depression, mental illness, and everything that's going on in the country. It's just it's another pandemic. It's an epidemic,
Yeah,
actually. There are so
yeah,
many really miserable and unhappy people. But I really think that, I do talk to a lot of men. I have a lot of men on my show. I'm very proud of that. And I'm also very proud that they are comfortable coming on a show by the name of the Femininja. So
yeah.
I think it takes a lot of courage for a man to do that. But it seems like I've talked to a lot of men who are creating spaces where men can support each other. So there's all these little like sub communities, and they're all starting to, even these communities and groups are starting to network with each other, just like you're doing with the Canine Heroes for Heroes. And that way we're getting even more of a strong society of guys who can feel comfortable talking
Yeah.
about what is on their mind and what's bothering them.
And when you see their faces light up when they see the dog, I mean,
Mm.
most people's faces light up when they see a dog. But you and I were talking prior to going live that our current first recipient of a service dog is a female Air Force veteran. She is going and doing things that she hadn't done in years. And
Wow.
just seeing her smile and being happy, it is such a blessing. Myself and her, we took the dogs out to Walmart to do a public access training.
I think I
And
saw that. That was
yeah, that
online
and
too.
there was
Yeah.
there was a third person in that
Yeah.
picture that just happened to be there training her service dog. So it's a good way to introduce the dogs to be non-confrontational in
Hmm.
the same space. But she's doing things she hadn't done before. And we just approved our second veteran for a
Wow.
dog. So he passed all the background checks. Now we're looking for what dog we're going to give him. We need a dog that has got a little size to him because he's got some mobility issues that he's going
Hmm.
to need to deal with in the future.
Hmm.
So I'm taking my time, because one of the things I'm not going to do is rush a dog out into the field.
Hmm.
It's a
Hmm.
recipe for disaster. I had one dog I thought picked out for this individual,
Hmm.
but after talking to him, this particular breed of dog would have probably caused him more anxiety than it would have
Hmm.
helped. So he felt bad. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm like, the object is for you to feel better. Don't
Right.
worry about it. We'll take our time. We'll get it right. And
Yeah.
that's the goal, is qualified dogs to deserving individuals. There
Hmm.
are people that unfortunately will not pass the
Hmm.
background check or the application processing.
Hmm.
Unfortunately, we can't help everybody.
Hmm. So I want to go back to the first veteran,
Yes.
the female Air Force veteran who received the dog. Now, how long ago was that? When did that happen?
She probably mid last year, I think.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that's how new your organization is?
Well, that's how we started in 2021. And of course, in the middle of pandemic, but trying to get everything up and running. Yeah, that's how new we are. And
Wow.
the goal is I'm trying to stand up an organization that is going to be here long after I'm gone. You
Hmm.
know, my vice president, she's in Kansas City. Her name's Megan Wald. She found me on LinkedIn and loved what we're doing. Her husband's a Marine veteran. She has a service dog that was just her pet. And then I'm not sure how many years ago, and I feel bad not knowing, she was diagnosed with breast cancer. And
Oh.
they actually turned her pet dog into a service dog. And there's a
Oh.
picture on one of the posts. you can just see Fiona, that's her dog, with her head down, just leaning up against Megan. And it was the point in time that what Megan needed at that time was exactly what Fiona had done. So it's amazing what they can do, what they can sense. They can sense the most minute movement or trigger that we do. We don't even realize we did it sometimes, and they're reacting to it. So yeah, we're small, we're growing rapidly. The name is getting out there. And I tell people, I don't care if anybody knows who Joe Gianti is. I want you to know who Canine Heroes for Heroes is. And I want to be known for putting good quality dogs out there and helping people. That's what we're trying to do ultimately. And people ask, are they all German Shepherds? No, it just happens to be, I love German Shepherds. So Loki, my service dog is a German Shepherd. And Debbie, who is our female Air Force veteran service dog in training, her dog is a German Shepherd. It just happened to be that's what it was at the time, but they're not all Shepherds.
Okay, so I wanted you to tell us how you got that that little tagline.
That's Travis Lloyd from American Canine Dynamics. As we were talking about Canine Heroes for Heroes and bringing it into existence, he came up with it. I'm like, that is amazing. That is absolutely amazing. Can I use it? He's like, yeah, absolutely. So,
oh my goodness, that was brilliant.
I love it. Yeah, I absolutely love it. It couldn't be more perfect.
Yeah.
We were just sitting around one time.
We're giving him a plug. That what was his
Yes,
name?
definitely. Travis Lloyd of American Canine Dynamics. They are we contract with them for doing a lot of the work, having a day job that can interfere with me being able to train all the time.
Yeah.
But they have a staff of just amazing trainers. I've learned so much from Travis.
I am going to include his website.
Please, thank you.
Yeah, in the show notes. And if there's any other organizations that you would like to, highlight, we could always put them in the show notes, because the more, again, it's the networking, it's the connecting, the supporting each other. And that way you can reach more people. You could get more support, financial support.
Yeah, that's the big one right there.
Okay, so let's talk about that.
Yeah, so we use an average of anywhere from $15,000 to $25,000 per dog to train them, buy them, train them, kit them up, and get them out to the veteran. So we are, my books are open. Anybody ever wants to see my books, I got no problem showing them. I don't take anything out of the nonprofit for my training right now, because we just don't have enough, and I don't want to take anything away from the dogs. So we run fundraisers. If it's okay, I'd like to talk about the current fundraiser right now.
Absolutely.
We've got, it's called the Benno fundraiser. Benno was a 75th Ranger Regiment military working dog. On his final deployment in Afghanistan, he was killed, saving his team. His handler is letting us honor him with this fundraiser. So if you go to our website, you'll see a link to the fundraiser. It'll take you there. And if you go to the fundraiser page, there's a History Channel documentary on Benno, Trent McDonald, who was the handler, and then his second dog, Leica. Leica just died last week. Leica, almost a year to the day that Benno died, took 3 rounds from an AK-47. They ended up having to take her leg, but she survived. She retired, and he retired and kept her up until the day she was on the cover of National Geographic's. They donated a bronze, somebody built a bronze monument to her, and they put it at the Ranger Regiment. So it's a blessing that he's able to honor us, or he's letting us honor Benno in that way. And it's funny, I just got a email from the local Mission Barbecue. I don't know if they have Mission Barbecues where you're at. It's a restaurant where they're very patriotic. At noon every day, they stop and have the anthem. Well, they just reached out and they want to do a picture of Benno with a gold star to put up at our local Mission Barbecue. So I thought that was pretty cool.
So now when that does happen, of course you get pictures and all that stuff.
Yes. Oh, absolutely.
Okay. So when you post something on LinkedIn, do feel free to tag me on it, because then I will repost it and all that stuff. Because again, I've got a lot of followers, not as many as you, but the more people that we can reach. I mean, you do have a heck of a following.
I don't know how it happened. I really don't. I am by far not a social media marketing guru. I've taken advice from some people out there, and must be working, because like I was telling you earlier, I think by the end of the week, if not mid next week, we'll cross 20,000 followers.
Well, I
Yeah,
think a lot of it has to do with divine intervention as well.
absolutely. I will take that. I am a blessed man
Mhm,
with, I honestly feel that I finally found what God wants me to do.
mhm,
And yeah, I was later in life. I'm not, like you can see by the gray in my beard, I'm not a young man, but it's never too late. So I'm really excited to be able to do this. Loki and I were just out in Missouri at the end of March, taking a dog training class.
mhm.
And we're going to go again to New York in, when are we going? In November, to the second part of that course.
Wow.
So that's one of the things that I'm trying to continue to do, because I consider myself a relatively novice trainer compared to
Mhm.
individuals like Travis and some of the
Yeah.
other ones. But one of the things is constantly looking on how we can improve our training for these
Mhm,
dogs. Because it's not going to be, oh, that's how it was done 20 years ago. That's how we're always going to do it.
mhm.
I learned so much in that class. And it's funny, it was, and the first class is all theoretical. There were no dogs. He was in the hotel while I was in class. And it's called NAPOPO, NEPOPO. It's a worldwide, there were 110 students from around the world.
Wow.
And I would go back to the hotel room at night and look at Loki and go, I'm really sorry for what I did to you earlier. Not training him the best way, but we continue to learn. And a lot of the posts that you do see me and Loki out doing things,
Mhm,
it's because the more I learn with
mhm,
him, the better I can transfer that to
mhm,
our clients and potential clients. I don't even like using the word clients. I just
mhm,
haven't thought of a better one yet.
mhm.
Teams probably is
Yeah.
a better one, but
Okay, so I just have to go back because, okay, I know how old you are, and the
yes.
fact that you said you're not a young man, I'm like, oh, wait. Uh, I take issue with that because you are still a very young man because I know how much older I am than you, and I consider myself still a very young woman.
There you
So, okay,
go.
we got that taken care of.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next thing is, as far as you traveling with Loki, how does he travel? I mean, is he a
So
traveling guru or?
he travels very well. We were blessed not too long ago. Tim Lally Chevrolet is a local dealer around us.
Mhm.
They donated a retired canine SUV. So I have a full canine kennel in the back. It still has the heat sensor on there. If I mean, it's rare that he's not in the car, not with me, but if I were to
Right.
leave him in the car, it's got the heat sensors. If it gets too hot, it's going to drop the windows, turn a fan on, start beeping to let me know. So yeah, that was donated by a local Chevy dealer, Tim Lally Chevrolet, and what a
Hang on a
blessing.
second,
Yeah,
Tim.
Lally, Lally. It's on our
Chevron.
website as well. Yeah. But yeah,
Okay.
they did not even hesitate. There's actually a social media post of Brock Lally, myself, doing a little impromptu interview at the Chevy dealer. Matter of fact,
Mhm.
they have, it's called Tim Lally Saves, where they take Tahoes and other SUVs and they upfit them for first responder vehicles. It's part of their
Wow.
what they do. So I'm gonna go down there sometime. We're gonna do a little walkthrough and I'll go down there and explain a little about what they do. But that has made my life so much easier. Going to these different events. He's
Mhm.
traveling comfortably. I've got a big space in the back where I can put our apparel and my
Mhm.
tent and all those things. So yeah, traveling. He's a champ. He
Mhm.
absolutely. There's even some pictures of him sitting there poking his head out, kind of looking at me by the cage, from the back of the
Uh,
SUV. So
so
yeah,
how old is he?
he'll be 4 in July. And
Wow.
I've had him since he was 7 weeks old. The day after I got him, we were in Walmart training because
Wow.
his function was always to be not only my service dog, but the face of Canine Heroes for Heroes. Because I jokingly say, would you rather look at Loki or me? And I don't blame you when you say Loki. It's completely understandable.
Well, as a devout dogaholic, I always go for the dog first,
Most
right?
people do. And
Mhm.
that's something to combat. And it happened today. I was out at Walmart getting some stuff for him. And I'm talking to a friend I saw there, and he's laying down. Somebody came by and petted him. And I'm like, please don't pet my dog. And as much as he's there to protect me and be there for me, I need to be there
Mhm.
for him as well. And people are starting to understand why.
Mhm.
And one of the things I love hearing is when little kids, mommy, daddy, a doggy. And
Mhm.
the parent says, oh, it's a service dog. You can't pet him. I love hearing that because it's
Mhm.
becoming more and more known. What people don't often understand is why you don't pet a
Mhm.
service dog. Really, you shouldn't even acknowledge the service dog is there. You should ignore them completely. That
Mhm.
dog has a job.
Mhm.
If I'm letting people pet Loki and letting him go around and sniff, then he can't focus on what his job is. So
Mhm.
that's why you don't pet or address a service dog. They've got a job to do. You need to ignore them like they're not even there so that they're not distracted. But
Mhm.
that's one of the things we work on is dealing with those distractions. Are we going to be able to cover every scenario? No, but if we cover most of them, it's going to make their life and our
Mhm.
life a little easier.
Well, that's interesting because I mean I know the rules, and you see the service dog, and even though my fingers are tingling and I just want to scratch their little necks, it's just I always like, okay, dog's working, and
Yeah.
bless that dog, and dog is God spelled backwards. But
Yes.
this is a long story, but I was selected for jury duty once, and I never get selected because anytime I'd get called, they'd look at this face. And it's like, "Oh, get her out of here." But I actually ended up being selected as a juror for a trial that was lasting. It was a federal case, for 3 weeks. And of course,
Wow.
here I am self-employed at the time going, "This is not gonna work out for me," but nobody cared. The
Yeah.
judge was a lovely woman, and she had a service dog that would just and it was for she had several health issues. She was she told us about it, and that he was there. I think his name was Winston. That he was there just to alert her that when something was amiss, that he could smell something. And we were in the jury room one time, and when we went out to go to lunch, and I saw her walking the dog, and so right away it was like, don't touch, don't touch. And she says, "Oh no, it's okay, he's not working right now, it's all right."
Yeah.
So then I got to go down on the floor and do this, with my fingers and scratch his neck.
Well, I'll do that if we're at an event all day and his vest is on. Once when the vest is off, he's out. He's not working, and then I let
Ah.
people. And he knows. And we made a big deal about that during the training process.
Mhm.
If I say harness, he's going to dip his head. He's going to put it in the harness. We're going to click, and his demeanor changes because he
Mhm.
knows he's in working mode. So it's
Wow.
it's pretty neat to see that change. But it's like our military and first responders when they put on that uniform, their
Right?
mindset changes. When you put
Mhm.
on your gi for martial arts,
Yep.
your mindset changes. It's 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 what they're bred to do. Loki is a true
Mhm.
working line German Shepherd. There's pet shepherds, there's working line shepherds. Same
Mhm.
with any other dog. There's working lines and there's just a pet.
Mhm.
Again, he was specifically, I hate to say purchased because it makes him sound like an object,
Mhm.
but let's say adopted or whatever word you want to use for this in mind.
Mhm.
And I think he does his job well.
So let me ask you this, have you always been a devout dogaholic?
No, not actually. Growing up, I had a shepherd for a little while, but when I was real young, I was actually allergic to dogs. I don't remember that. My mother said we had a German shepherd that we had to get rid of because I was allergic to him, but I obviously must have outgrown it. Yeah, I've
Mhm.
had always had a love for animals, but not like I have now because
Mhm.
I I'm getting older, I'm getting wiser
Mhm.
in my years. I'm just amazed at what they can do. It's like it's never ending
Mhm.
what they can do. I want an infinite number of tasks to put on him. We're working on a few now.
Mhm.
Um, it's 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 never ending. I was listening to a podcast one time on a diabetic alert service dog trainer.
Mhm.
The dog was asleep. The handler was asleep. The dog woke up to wake up the handler that their blood sugar was low. That just blew my mind. And then I was listening to another one. It was cadaver dogs. This dog was
Oh.
on a boat sensing a body under the water.
Wow.
That blew my mind. I mean, you got current, you got everything, and that dog was able to pinpoint where that was. So
Well, I understand that they are now, I don't know if this is common practice, but I heard this from, a naturopath or whatever, that, dogs can smell cancer.
I've heard that as well. I haven't looked into it much, but I've heard that as
Yeah.
well.
So they can actually diagnose before the physician does.
And I've heard that they've tried to duplicate or replicate a
Mhm.
dog's sense of smell so that they can have a mechanical thing to do it, and they just can't do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's unreal. They describe it as we smell a pizza, the dog smells the pepperoni, the sauce, the oregano, the pepper. They smell everything.
Mhm.
I'll take treats and hide them in the yard,
Mhm.
and because we need to work our dog's mind as well as their
Mhm.
body, and
Mhm.
that's one of the things I those. Oh, my dog does this and my dog does that. I said your dog's probably bored. He's bored,
Mhm.
not getting any exercise.
Mhm.
I live in Northeast Ohio. You're in Colorado. It gets cold where we live.
Yes, it
I don't
does.
I don't want to go out and walk when it's 0 degrees. So Loki goes on the treadmill. People see they love the videos of him on the treadmill. He's on the treadmill. I'm watching YouTube.
I
But
think I saw that, but I was just scrolling and I was like,
yeah,
wait a minute. And I didn't go back. So I'm going to have to look after we're done
yeah,
recording.
he needs his work. He doesn't care what the weather's like. He wants to
Right.
work. So
Mhm.
that's how we work on that. And I'm not the only one that does it. Somebody
Mhm.
trained me how to do it, and I've told people how to do it. And
Mhm.
it's just a way to help these dogs because we are responsible for
Mhm.
99% of everything that dog's going to do, what he's going to eat, where he's going to sleep. We
Mhm.
have to be responsible dog owners,
Mhm.
and
Yeah,
especially when they're a service dog.
right. I feel like a terrible pet parent because I spoil mine rotten and they don't know how to do anything really. Um, and I actually ran a rescue for 7 years after I
Oh,
finished
wow.
graduate school. Yeah, my husband and I ran the Colorado Italian Greyhound Rescue.
There you
So
go.
if they see Italian, I don't know if you're familiar with the breed, but they're, the tiny little ones. It looks like somebody took a racing greyhound and put him in the dryer on high heat and
I
forgot
think
about
I've
him and
seen
just shrunk him
those.
down. They're so adorable. Oh my God. They are irresistible and they're really a handful, but a lot of energy in those tiny little bodies. So we did that for 7 years. We have many, many boxes of, remains,
Yeah,
here with us.
yeah,
But we just loved them and we loved, helping them and taking care of them. But man, we did spoil them rotten. So even now I've got two dogs, but they're Italian Greyhound mixes. So they're sturdier than the
yeah.
IGs. And they will go out in the snow and they will play, but they do not like the rain.
He doesn't care. Rain, snow, sleet. He'll go out there and stand. I'm like, would you please go to the bathroom so you can come in and not get soaking wet? But
Oh.
as much as I love him and dote over him, I realize he is an animal.
Hmm.
And I think sometimes people do forget that we anthropomorphic. Oh my gosh, I'm not even going to try to say it. Where we put human qualities on a dog. I always
Oh,
stumble over that word. I
yeah.
shouldn't even have tried.
Yeah.
But I do know he's a dog and he needs a job. He wants to work. There's times,
Hmm.
and this can be a pet owner or service dog or whatever.
Hmm.
You can give them their whole meal by hand and use it as training or
Hmm.
hide portions of their meal throughout the house. Let them work their brain, let them work their
Hmm.
nose, let them work. That's what these dogs want. And
I think I'm gonna try that as far as the feeding like that.
yeah,
I
when we
mean,
first,
they're both great dogs. One's 7, and the other one is 3, and she's a handful. Little red dog. And she's all muscle and so
yeah,
much energy. My husband used to get a little annoyed with her, but it's like, Mike, she's a dog. She has all of this energy. She wants to
yeah,
hunt. So, I hide toys for her and do
yeah,
things
that's
like
good.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, because we're responsible for everything they
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
They don't get a choice on what they eat. I
Mhm.
read this book. It's called the Forever Dog book, How to Make Your
Mhm.
Dog Longer. And it's a great book. And I've been using a lot of that with Loki. I want them to live longer. Their lives are so short. I mean, you figure a shepherd's 12, 13, 14 years maybe, and he's already 4. The first time I saw gray in his beard, I thought I was going to cry
Mhm.
because I know angels without wings is what they are.
Mhm. I
And
think
this,
they're the best of the greatest of God's creation. I
yeah,
think
yeah.
I love my dogs more than I love people, but don't tell anybody that.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Think about it. No matter what we do, they're going to greet us happy.
Mhm.
Bad day, they're there. Good day, they're there. You don't
Mhm.
want to do this, they're there. And I
Mhm.
love, eh, again, it's rare that he's not with me, but
Mhm.
when there are those times I come back, maybe I was outside for 10 minutes. I come back in, it's like I was gone in a lifetime. He can't
Mhm.
wait. He's running around, getting his bone,
I
coming back.
know.
Look, Daddy.
I know.
Yeah.
My little redhead's like that. She's so funny. She wags her tail so hard that I'm really afraid one of these days her butt's going to fall off.
That's why they dock some of the working dogs' tails is when
I
they're
can
in
understand that.
when they're
Mhm.
kennels, and it's less likely to get caught on things when they're out
Mhm.
doing their
Well, I
jobs.
actually did see a dog when we were hiking one time fairly recently, and the dog had no tail, and we didn't think anything of it. And I'm petting the dog. It was not a service dog. So I'm
Yeah,
petting the dog and talking to the owners and stuff. And the little dog, well, it wasn't little, it was big, the little butt's wiggling and stuff. And I commented on it and they said, well, we had to have the tail amputated because the dog had happy tail syndrome.
yeah,
And,
yeah.
it's like she just kept whacking it and bleeding and getting infected. And the vet said, we can't amputate it. So they did.
There's a Instagram guy I follow. His name's Worthless Handler, and he always puts posts up saying stop nub shaming for people that dock their dog's tail. So I always thought that was funny.
That's
But
really funny.
there was another. Go ahead.
What was it? Worthless Handler?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I met him at a canine conference years ago. Real good guy.
Uh-huh.
Then there was another one, Den Mother Canine. Love them. He was a special operations canine medic. So I took a few of the trauma courses he put on to learn. Again, in my truck, I keep a human med kit and a canine med kit, so that I want to be there for him. And it's amazing the individuals I have been able to meet in the short period of time I've been doing this. Some just phenomenal individuals. I don't know if you've ever heard of Project Canine Hero. Project Canine Hero is a nonprofit. They take military and police working dogs. They try to rehome them once they're retired, and they'll help pay for medical care. They are, they're huge, multi-million-dollar nonprofit. When I started Canine Heroes for Heroes, I hadn't been on LinkedIn very long at all. Jason Johnson, the founder, sent me a message over LinkedIn. Hey, how can I help you? We set up a half-hour phone call. Last year, I was able to go down and see their rehabilitation facility. So it's amazing the people that I've met that just want to help. We all have the same goal in mind. How do we help our veterans and first responders? Again, haven't been through what they've been through, but I empathize. And every time I hear about a veteran or first responder taking their own life, it breaks my heart, because they survived the battlefield. They survived the community traumas as a first responder, but yet they couldn't fight that internal demon. And that's what I want to change. If I can help 1, 2, 3 people, I'd love to put out 20 dogs a year, but right now that's not feasible. But if we can help that one person just stop and think, the world will be a better place with you in it. As we've all said before, I didn't coin this phrase. I'd rather listen to your trauma than go to your funeral. And that has to be all of our mindset. These guys and gals have gone through so much that sometimes they don't want to talk to a civilian, but in a way, and I've had some of them tell me that they're glad a civilian's doing it, so that they know there are many out there like me supporting you. You're not alone. Yes, we may not know what you've been through, but we're here for you. We appreciate what you've done. Whether it's how they want to receive it, every veteran or first responder, I thank them for their service. I thank them for what they're doing. If I've tried to buy many police officer a cup of coffee, but the establishment they go to already gives it to them out of respect. So it's just being there for them. And this collaboration with other service dog companies. There's another one out of Florida called Forgotten Coast Canine. They've helped me get myself off my feet off the ground and get this moving. Yeah, we're all kind of fighting for the same donor pool, but we all have the same mindset. How do we make this grow? We were blessed at the end of last year. There's a prominent family in this area of the country, the Osbornes. At the end of last year, they donated $25,000. That's the biggest donation I've ever got. And that's a dog start to finish. So this veteran that just passed our application process, I've got the money to train his dog.
Wow.
And that's absolute blessing.
Yeah.
But what I don't think people realize is every little bit helps. If people go to my social media, you'll see I just put up, there's a program called Spark Good on Walmart, where if you go online in Walmart, you can pick Canine Heroes for Heroes and round up. Hey, that rounding up is going to help. We've got a veteran who has an eBay store. He makes gun parts. He has picked, I think, 20 different items from his store that we get a piece of. And their cost doesn't go up. He is just generous to the point. It's Disabled American Veterans is his website. And it's on my affiliate link on my webpage. I don't want to get his page wrong, but through that, he has donated thousands just by doing that. So there's so many ways people can donate. If you see some of the videos with there's a song behind it. The song's called Fade Away. My cousin wrote the song, sung the song, played the drums. They're on it's called My Cleveland Project. They're on
Mhm.
the radio and everything. Because I had asked him, hey, I'd love to have a song to represent what we're doing. He goes, I think I got one already. So he donated the song. There's another guy, again, from LinkedIn, Michael Dinko. He was part of the Pitbull and Parolees show that was on. He was one of the producers of that. He reached out. How can I help you? He has done some of the videos for me and cut them up and made them look good. So there's
Mhm.
so many different ways people can help support this mission beyond just the financial. Obviously, we need the financial, but
Yes.
something simple as commenting and sharing posts help you in the
Mhm.
algorithm. It drives you up in the
Mhm.
algorithm. So I realize, especially in today's society, people don't have a lot of disposable income,
Mhm.
but maybe you know somebody that does. Maybe you know a corporation looking for a charity to sponsor
Mhm.
or an event. We've got several events this year. One is called Wheels for Canine Heroes. It's put on by a company called Wheelcraft. They make custom rims for cars. We are the recipient of whatever comes into the show. They
Mhm.
found us. We've great organization. And Tim Lally works with them as well. And they put on this car show, and we're the recipients. As of last year, we attended a car show just as a participant. We put our tent up.
Mhm.
Is the JR Convoy car show. We're
Mhm.
now the recipient of their car show for this year. So
Wow.
on our webpage, there's a calendar of events so people
Mhm.
can see where we're going to be.
Mhm.
And there's some other neat things that are going to be coming in the future that we don't have all the details yet, but
Mhm.
to be able to stand beside our veterans and first responders
Mhm.
is a blessing. I hate putting it this way, but I'm a nobody. I'm just somebody trying to do my little part in this world, and these people are thanking me for
Mhm.
what I'm doing. I'm like, are you kidding me? It's the
Mhm.
least I can do for everything that you've done. I
Mhm.
want to thank you. I want to shake your hand. There's what do they say? There's only 1% of the population that goes into the military.
Mhm.
That's not me. I wasn't one of those 1%,
Mhm.
but I'm able to stand beside some of those 1% and honor what they've done.
So, Joe, I have got to ask you this. Go back to 2021. I mean, it really hasn't been that long ago.
No,
And even before you really, launched this program, did you ever imagine where it would take you? If you could have looked into a crystal ball and saw where, okay, here I am in spring, summer of 2024, would you have believed it?
no, not at all. Again, it goes back to who am I? I'm not a combat veteran. I'm not a former police officer or firefighter or anything like that. I'm just a guy that has an idea. No,
Hmm.
I never thought it would go this far. And to be able to meet the people I've met,
Hmm.
stand beside our special operators and stand beside the guys in the mechanics. And that's one of the things, and I don't want to get off topic too much, but I've had veterans say, oh, I was just I stop them right there. You weren't just you were in the service. I wasn't.
Hmm.
So please stop. No matter whether you were the tier one operator to the cook, you're still in uniform. But
Hmm.
no, I would have never thought it would have gone this far. Like we talked about, I'm going to cross 20,000 followers on LinkedIn. No, I would have never thought that, but it is a true blessing that we have grown the way we have.
Hmm.
What I need is for the funding to catch up to the
Hmm.
followers and to the exposure. I've done many a podcast, um, been at many events, and people are so generous with the money they do have. But what I
Hmm.
really need to find are those corporate sponsors, those
Hmm.
reoccurring, you know, so that I can devote all my time to this, to
Hmm.
train these dogs, to work with American Canine Dynamics, to travel more and
Hmm.
meet more veterans. We're constantly looking who and how can we collaborate with. I had an active duty Navy SEAL reach out to me. He started a nonprofit called Hold the Reins, where it's equine therapy. He's doing it as an active veteran or an active Navy SEAL because he wants to give these military personnel the skills they need before they get out instead of
That's
waiting.
the one thing that I was going to mention earlier because it's, when all of the veterans that we do lose to suicide, and a lot of veterans that I have spoken to on the show, they said that the hardest part is just trying to assimilate back
Yeah,
into, I'm using air quotes here, normal society. So they've
right.
been on these deployments, they've seen combat, they've seen horrible things and have had to do horrible things, and now they are expected to just waltz right
Right.
back in and pick up their life where it had been before, and that's asking way too much
Yeah. Yeah.
of,
We don't, in my opinion, we don't do enough for when they come
right.
back. There's another good organization on our resource link called Vets to Industry, the number two.
Mhm,
They help transitioning veterans find jobs, relocate. It's another phenomenal organization started by a veteran. So
mhm,
I don't even think the veterans know of all the resources out there that are available
mhm,
to them. So that's one of the things we're trying to work with as well. Out in Kansas City, where Megan is my vice president, they have, it's called the Veterans Community Project.
mhm.
The first time I got to see that place, I was blown away. They had, at the time, they had 50 tiny homes on the property, and the veterans can stay. And when that veteran leaves, the only thing they don't take is the kitchen sink. They give them the pots, the pans, the bed, everything. And it's designed for PTSD. Walls are extra thick for soundproofing, just
Mhm,
the way it's laid out. So
mhm,
she does a lot of work with them out there to bring awareness to the service dogs, but also, again, to be a resource that if we get
mhm.
a call from a veteran somewhere, because not all of them want a dog. Not everybody's dog lovers, and not everybody can.
I
Yeah,
don't
I know.
understand that, I'm
Yeah, hard
sorry.
to, yeah, hard to believe. But not all of them, or their situation doesn't permit them
Mhm,
to have a dog for whatever reason. So being
mhm,
that resource is also what we want to do. But the
mhm,
service dog is what's so close to my heart.
mm.
Seeing what these dogs can do, knowing the comfort, seeing the smiles on their face. Just, I mean, like we said earlier, most people see a dog, they light up.
Mhm,
So now that dog is actually your partner, your teammate. He
mhm.
is helping you reintegrate, as we said, back into the normal world, if there is such a thing as the normal world.
These days there isn't.
Yeah, yeah,
I also love the equine therapy
yeah,
because, horses, little different. I'm definitely a dog lover and prefer dogs, but I've had quite a few interactions with horses. They are the most gentle and sensitive creatures, not quite like
yeah.
a dog, but they are amazing and
And
have a tremendous healing energy about them.
so powerful too. It's funny,
Mhm.
the Napopo course I went to, Michael and Bart Bellin, who founded Napopo, they're big horse trainers as well. And they
Wow.
use a lot of the same
Methods.
processes and methods of training a horse that they do a dog, because you're not going to force that horse to do anything that it doesn't want to do. They're too powerful. But
Mhm.
there's a local college near me called Lake Erie College. They have equine classes. They actually, their finance department did a project on Canine Heroes for Heroes. They had to pick a nonprofit to do, so they called me and we worked. I haven't seen the final outcome yet, but so again, there are so many ways to get the message out there. I'd have never thought a college is going to be calling me to do
Mhm.
a study on a nonprofit, but
Right?
that's going to put Canine Heroes for Heroes in front of somebody else. And you just never know, once you hit that right person that's going to help you grow even more. This show could be it, the
Mhm.
Femininja. It could be the one that catapults us even further.
Mhm.
And again, I want something to be here long after I'm gone.
Mhm.
I want Canine Heroes for Heroes to be putting dogs out there like the Mutts with the
Mhm.
Mission and the Forgotten Coast canines of the world that are doing that. And again, we all have the same goal in mind: help
Mhm.
this veteran and first responder community.
I just have to go back to the Lake Erie College.
Yes.
I did not know there was a Lake Erie College. Is it a
Yeah.
community college?
No, I don't think it's considered a community college. It's
Mhm.
just up the street from me. I live in
As
Painesville, Ohio.
right. And I love
Yeah,
that
no, it's
name, Painesville.
yeah, it's no, it's not a community college.
Okay.
They have equestrian as one of the courses of study.
Yeah. Wow. They
So
never had
yeah,
stuff like that when I went to college.
no, I think if I'd have known what I know now, I definitely wouldn't have been an engineer.
Yeah, right. I know. I would have definitely taken a different path, but of course that they didn't have Dog Lover 101 or,
No,
horses and
but
yeah, no. Mm-mm.
then I go back. If I wouldn't have done what I did in the past, I wouldn't be where I am right now. So
Exactly.
God led us where we're supposed to be, and I'm just trying to listen to what He says. Sometimes I'm too thick-headed, and He's got to give me a boot in the behind. But
Yeah, well, there's many
yeah,
times he has taken a 2x4 to my head. It's like,
Yeah.
if this is what
Yeah.
it's gonna take, I keep
Yeah.
telling her and she's not listening, and it's like,
Yeah.
"Oh, yeah, okay, now I guess I will listen." Yeah.
Absolutely. But it's just, I love it. I want to be able to do it for many more years to come. It's something I can do hopefully till I'm old. I'm already got the gray, so I don't want to say old and gray, but old. I really believe this is what I'm supposed to do,
Mhm,
and that these dogs' capabilities are just endless.
mhm.
There's nothing they can't do.
Well,
Sorry,
you're
my
doing an incredible job of it, and I really see this growing by leaps and bounds. And I'm just, you know, I'm so touched and so moved that somebody is, well, number one, combining two of my favorite things, dogs, veterans, and then let's add the martial arts and
yeah.
the Italian thing too.
There you go.
But yeah, I think it's just absolutely wonderful. And so, just what I would love for you to do right now is just give some of the links
Yes.
to the
Okay.
listeners. Of course, all of these are in the show notes, but I really like for my guests to be able to articulate it because it makes it more personal.
Yes.
So, anything that you could think of, ways that they can connect with you or some of these other services, just let her rip.
Okay. So if you go to www.K9 Heroes for Heroes, it's the number 9 and the number 4. There's actually a donate button on there if you just want to donate directly. There's a link to where you can send us a message for veterans and first responders. There's also a link you can click on for a preliminary
Hmm. Hmm.
application, and then we'll send you the long, excuse
Hmm.
me, the long form application. There's resource links in there. There's affiliate links and there's
Hmm.
supporter links all in there. So you can find us there. You can find us on LinkedIn as K9 Heroes for Heroes, same as Facebook. And on Instagram, we're just K9H for H. So
Hmm.
my contact information is on all of those. My cell phone, my voice or
Hmm.
email, it's all on
Hmm.
there. So if somebody wants to reach out, like everybody, if I get a phone call that I don't recognize the number, I'm gonna let it go to voicemail. So your
Hmm.
best bet is if you're trying to reach me a cell phone, shoot me a text. Say, I'm such and such, and I found you on whatever platform. I'd like to talk to you about this. Then we can arrange a call. But yeah, we're on all this. We have an X account, but I don't really do anything on there. And
Hmm.
we do have a YouTube channel. That sometimes there's some stuff on there that isn't on the other platforms. We're at 602 followers.
Wow, you've got more than I do.
Yeah, I'm an influencer.
Yeah, you really are.
Yeah. But yeah, you can find us on all those platforms. But again, there are so many ways you can donate. Do you have a
Hmm.
talent like
Hmm.
Michael Dinko with his video editing, or like my
Yeah, that
Cleveland
was a
project with
gift.
my Cleveland project with their songs, or Tim
Hmm.
Lally Chevrolet that donated the SUV,
That's so
Wheelcraft
cool.
putting on the car show. If you have a way that you think can help us, again, I understand not everybody's got disposable income right now,
Hmm.
but a dollar helps.
Hmm.
$1 million helps, of course, but every dollar is going to go towards that. It's going to go towards the training of the dogs, the gear. Obviously, I've got to spend some little money on marketing, but
Hmm.
that's the nature of the beast. But there are so many ways you can help us, and I
Hmm.
can't thank everybody enough, yourself
Hmm.
included, that has got us to this point where we are right now.
Hmm.
It is a blessing to be able to sit here in front of you and talk with you about this, to stand beside our veterans and first responders. It is a true blessing that I will never take for granted.
Well, Joe, thank you so much for being here. It has been an honor to talk to you. I consider you a friend. Actually, I
Thank
considered
you.
you a friend before we even
I
logged on.
appreciate that.
And I cannot wait to follow your journey and see where this
Yes.
takes you and the dogs and the work that you're doing with the veterans. And if there's anything I can do to help spread the word, get the message out, obviously I have a very loud mouth and a pretty good platform. So yeah, it's just
Thank
been
you.
great having you.
Thank you. God bless.
You too. And everybody, thank you so much for listening. This has been such an amazing episode. And just if you are a veteran, or if you know a veteran who is struggling and needs some help, needs some assistance, please reach out to Joe. If he can't help you, he's got a ton of resources, obviously, that can. Nobody needs to suffer on their own. There's always a way to find your path to healing. And as Canine Heroes for Heroes says, healing is healing. So do go to his website, please. If you can donate even just a very small amount, it would be greatly appreciated, and it will be going to a fantastic cause. So next time you see a service dog, think of Joe, think of Loki, think of donating, and remember, don't touch them. So stay safe, and thanks for listening. And that is the way of the Femininja.